In 2003, a newly created game studio was tasked with developing a Pokémon spin-off focused on combat. A sort of Pokémon Stadium with a plot and a world to explore. This studio was called Genius Sonority, and the game Pokémon Colosseum. And it wasn't much fun to play. At least I didn't like it. But a year and a half later, the sequel to this experiment was released. A sequel which, according to numerous players, is the complete and fully featured version of the idea. This sequel, Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness, released August 4th, 2005 in Japan, with the rest of the world seeing the game at the end of the year. So, is this really the ideal form of the Colosseum concept? Or are both GameCube games better left forgotten? Is Pokémon XD the secret best Pokémon game? Let's find out. Our story starts at sea, on a boat driven by two Lego people. This boat is suddenly stolen. Really, a giant mean-looking Lugia just picks it up and leaves. We are then dropped into an epic battle between our Salamence and an opposing Metagross. Now this is how you start a game. Don't get too excited though. Things grind to a halt immediately. Turns out this cool battle was only a simulation. Our actual location is some Pokémon research facility where our mother is one of the important people. We are then free to roam around a bit, talk to people, and get used to the controls and changes from Colosseum. And already, I am very excited about Pokémon XD. The environments are a lot more detailed and interesting to explore. The interface has been remade and looks significantly better. And the game even features convenient type matchup tables for Pokémon and moves. What? Where are those tables in Scarlet and Violet? I barely started, and this spin-off already has features missing from the core series 17 years later. Our current task is to find one of the most annoying characters in the game, Jovi, also known as our sister. We are conveniently given directions to the place she might be, and in this Luigi's Mansion wannabe, we encounter the second most annoying character in the game, Chobin. He thinks we're a burglar, which leads to the first real fight of Pokémon XD. Our starter is a level 10 Eevee, which makes short work of Chobin's level 5 Sunkern. After defeating him in a Pokémon battle, he determines we are a child, which means it is absolutely, definitely, unquestionably impossible for us to be a burglar. This dilapidated manor belongs to Dr. Kamenko, the expert in useless inventions. He is also useless to the plot, so we pick up our sister, drive her back to the lab using our trusty scooter, and upon our return, are given the Snag Machine. What is the Snag Machine used for, you ask? Well, a team of evil-looking Power Rangers just captured the professor, so let me show you. Like Colosseum, capture in XD is done by throwing Pokeballs at Shadow Pokémon owned by opposing trainers. Which Pokémon is a Shadow Pokémon is determined in advance, so no throwing balls all willy-nilly. In this case, we borrow a Teddiursa. Unfortunately, Crane is still captured. Now that we've lost the main driving force behind the lab's current project, what will we do? Keep working, of course. It's not a small little kidnapping that will stop us. We are sent to nearby Gadeon Port to pick up an important machine piece. Gadeon Port is the first open location of Pokémon XD, and this is where we can truly appreciate the improvements made compared to Pokémon Colosseum. The areas are a lot more interesting to explore, both inside and out, with better layouts, more interesting designs, and prettier environments. Where Colosseum stuck to its worn-down desert cities a bit too much, XD decides to just have fun, which results in a healthy variety in the places to explore, which appeal to me more. Looking ahead a little, we go to a glass double pyramid housing an evil factory, an abandoned luxury boat in the middle of the desert, and an island with a secret facility on top of an active volcano. But interesting locations are not the only upgrade in XD. Although the Pokémon fights remain significantly slower than in the Game Boy Advance games, they are slightly faster than in Colosseum, and retain the fantastic Pokémon animations, even improving on several attack animations as well. Encounters are also better paced. While the focus of XD is still clearly on combat, the game breaks the monotony up by introducing story segments, new areas, and side content at regular intervals. We are no longer fighting trainer after trainers for hours with no end in sight, at least during the first half of the game, but we'll come back to that. For now, we run into Zook, literally, a big beefy bad boy who wants to beat us up. Thankfully, a group of 3 mystery men beat him up instead. These suspicious-looking fellows are led by Varric, a well-known benefactor and philanthropist, who defends the weak and shares his wealth with the needy. Yeah, I played enough Japanese RPGs to know this guy is evil. After a thorough Gadeon port visit, we eventually come back to the lab, and in the goal of finishing the purification chamber, are sent to Agat Village. Up until this point, I was really enjoying my time with Pokémon XD, and pleased with the changes made. The game has a slow start, but it is faster than Colosseum's, and there is enough happening in the game to keep me interested. Well, forget everything and welcome to Pokémon Colosseum again. Starting with Agat Village, the game completely reuses everything from the previous installment. For about 5 hours, we do nothing but go back to areas that already existed in Colosseum, and have Pokémon combat there. Sure, the plot and trainers we encounter are different, but that's it. The developers did not even pretend they did anything else but copy and paste previous content. In Agat Village, the only difference is the camera angle. We then go to Mount Battle, where the only difference is that we have 3 forced fights instead of Colosseum's 10. In Cypher Lab, we encountered... Wait, those are literally Power Rangers! They have the colors and everything! Anyway, we have to go through the exact same labyrinthine facility, thankfully with fewer encounters. In Pyrite Town, we have a slightly different camera shot going into the city, as well as a remade version of an old building. It is pretty ridiculous going through these exact copies, when the game is supposed to take place 5 years into the future. You're telling me that in the 5 years between Colosseum and XD, nobody even attempted to clean or repair the Snag'em hideout? Oh yeah, later in the game, we go to the Snag'em hideout, which is given the good old Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V treatment. Regardless of the in-world reason for keeping areas the same, in my eyes, this is just lazy game design. The developers wanted more content into their game, but just reusing huge chunks of another game without even a small graphical updates makes that content feel uninspired and out of place. I think Pokémon XD would be a better game without the Colosseum parts. Less unique content is better than more reused content in my mind, especially when said content is not even the focus of the game. For example, Colosseum challenges are back in XD, except they are completely optional, barely used at all, and pale in comparison to the newly introduced side activities, which we'll get to. Maybe it is not as problematic if you have not played Colosseum beforehand, but it is one of my biggest gripes with XD. It is a shame, because I enjoy Gale of Darkness significantly more, notably the way it handles Shadow Pokémon. After our small visit to the Cypher Lab, where we learn about the bad guys' plan and crush one of their leaders, Lovrina, we are able to finish the lab's main project, the Purification Chamber. This seemingly complex apparatus is actually very simple. It is a Pokémon storage system where the purified Pokémon can help the Shadow Pokémon purify faster. Every set has 1 spot for a Shadow Pokémon and up to 4 spots for non-Shadow ones. As we run around in the world, Shadow Pokémon in the purification chambers are slowly purified. If more Pokémon are in a set, the purification process will be faster. And we can go even faster if we make a circle where every Pokémon is strong against the next one. It is Pokémon XD's fix to one of Colosseum's main problems, where purifying Pokémon is a lengthy, costly, and tiring process. And it totally works. Pokémon are purified way quicker through a fun minigame which allows XD to have more Shadow Pokémon, and those can actually be used. And it gets even better. Shadow Pokémon were clunky to use in Colosseum, but they are completely fixed in XD. Colosseum's Hyper Mode nullifies 2 turns in combat, and the Pokémon has a chance to ignore us if we don't use Shadow Rush. XD's Reverse Mode only takes 1 turn from us, and we can still use the Pokémon normally. Every Shadow Pokémon in Colosseum only knows 1 unique Shadow move. In XD, they can know between 2 and 4 moves taken from a pool of 18 available Shadow moves. Colosseum's heart gauge was frustratingly slow to empty, forcing us to grind heavily to purify any Pokémon. XD's Shadow Pokémon are purified naturally as we use them, allowing us to switch our team during gameplay. Where Colosseum's Shadow Pokémon were a good idea with terrible execution, Gale of Darkness went back and methodically fixed every issue, to the point of making them one of the game's highlights. I almost wish the Shadow mechanic was used in other games, as it provides an appreciable variety to the combat. Going back to the story, in Pyrite Town, we enter the new ONBS building where we encounter all the kids from Colosseum, such as Sek, Net, and Bit, which are more than happy to give us exposition, then send us to a Pokespot, a new feature in XD. Mustache Man over here teaches us how Pokespots work. We put some cheese in the middle of nowhere, wait, and when a wild Pokemon is allured by the wonderful smell, we catch it. Makes sense to me. Pokespots are 3 side areas which allow us to catch non-Shadow Pokemon. A neat little side activity. In the 3rd Pokespots, we stumble upon 2 goons talking about... Oh yes! 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 Do you want to join my posse? Heck yeah! Aw, come on, game. You can't dangle this proposition in front of me, only to take it away. Anyway, we encounter the grooviest character back in Pokémon Colosseum, Mirror B. This cool dude's purpose in Pokémon XD is as a Shadow Pokémon tamer. Anytime we miss a Shadow Pokémon, it runs away, only to join Mirror B's team and be ready for capture once more. This idea is neat in theory, except Afroman only has a single Shadow Pokémon per fight, and appears randomly. We can only find him once his radar beeps, and if he happens to be in the Colosseum, we must take on the entire challenge just to obtain 1 Shadow Pokémon, which severely limits the man's utility. Still, it is once again neat side content. Now that our tutorial is over, we go back to the ONBS building, which has been attacked. What could have happened here? Oh, sorry, there's a Pokemon in one of my Pokespots. I'll be right back. Alright. Okay, like I was saying, what could have happened... Oh, Mirror Bee is here. Never mind this. Hey, what's up, man? Okay, for real this time, we go through the ONBS building and fight the bad guys until we get to the top, where we find the big bad guy, which we fight as well. Time to go through more Colosseum content with Phoenix City. I'm the 1 millionth visitor to... What? Time to go through more Colosseum content with Realgam Tower. Actually, Realgam Tower is the one area that is completely different in Pokémon XD. Graphically, it is unfortunately the same, but the new side activities present there are really something special. To the left of the main room, we can play Pokémon Bingo, which seems very confusing at first. These cards are available for play right now. What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I guess, Nidoran? Oh, oh no, what's going on? I'm so confused. It's just a bingo, right? It's just, I got a bingo card because I got Nidorino? Rank Novice, 3-type card. I'm so confused. Okay. Then, I guess, I'm gonna just, grass. Is this, okay, You can't write that! Enter Nidorino? Do I? Ew, that sounds gross! Do you want to enter Nidorino? No, I don't! What is this? Once we get past the questionable phrasing, we can play a modified game of rock, paper, scissors, where we unlock panel after panel by using one-move Pokémon, then ditching them to catch new ones. My favorite aspect is that this bingo game plays into one of the strongest themes of XD Gale of Darkness, teaching Pokémon combat. I have a confession to make. I am terrible with type matchups. The reason is simple. None of the core Pokémon games ever taught me about strengths and weaknesses in a compelling way. Instead, I am given a giant table to learn like I am in school. Pokémon XD is the very first Pokémon game I have played that is interested in teaching me in a fun way. First, by having type matchup tables built into the status screens, then with the purification system relying on type knowledge, and then with Pokémon Bingo. The mechanics are explained to me in a controlled, low-pressure environment, and I am rewarded when I get it right. And this compelling approach to combat tutorials reaches its peak in brilliance with the Battle Sim. The door right of Realgam Tower's main room leads to the simulator. Here, we can purchase or use battle CDs found in the world to trigger unique encounters. These encounters are Pokémon combat puzzles, which require intricate knowledge of the combat mechanics. They go up in difficulty, from basic interactions, like Gust dealing double damage to opponents using Fly, to head scratchers, where we need to play musical chairs with skill swap in order to help a thrashing Sharpedo. These puzzles are absolutely fantastic, and something I always wanted Pokémon games to do. Pokémon combat is a crazy web of hidden interactions, and nowhere have I found a place that would teach me any of these in a fun way until now. Once again, we get to learn in a controlled environment without the threat of losing progress. For real, the Battle Sim is so enjoyable, I completely forgot about the story for a few hours, doing puzzle after puzzle until I ran out. Because the Battle Sim is not perfect. The battle CDs are unfortunately hidden throughout the world, which sucks if you want to learn. There is no quick retry, so be ready to watch the same opening and closing animations every time, and some puzzles are not fully controlled, meaning we can brute force them with lucky crits and misses. Still, the simulation is one of my favorite features of not only Pokémon XD, but of any Pokémon game I have ever played. I love it that much. It is so rad. So, after losing myself in Realgam Tower for a while, we eventually go back to Phoenix City. Here, we fight Cypher Team Goon after Cypher Team Goon, until we find the Power Rangers disguising themselves as Justy, the guy I need to talk to. Doesn't change my plan of beating all of them up, really. For all the positive changes introduced in Pokémon XD, the main plot remains the same. Go from area to area, fighting the evil bad guys that cross our path. At least in this game, the next objective is clearly indicated. So, we kick the bad guys' butt, then we make our way inside the Colosseum where we find the big boss wearing a onesie? Well, I guess it's time to put him to bed. All of it broadcast on live television for the viewers to enjoy. We can now rescue the good guys. We are told by Justy, the original one this time, that shady people have been going in and out of a certain location in the desert. Unfortunately, our dingy scooter cannot make the trip. We are far from Colosseum's awesome bike, huh? Instead, we are sent on several errands. We go back to the ONBS building, you three are totally evil, then annoying guy, then fight a Robo-Groudon, then navigate a colored hook lab. Oh yeah, we fight a Robo-Groudon! Except we don't actually fight the Groudon, it just throws balls instead of the trainer inside. What's the point then? Because we destroy the useless Robo-Groudon, Robo-Kyogre is canned. Bummer, it looked awesome. Regardless, we find the mechanic able to upgrade our ride, and to the desert we go. There, we find one of the coolest places in the game, the luxury boat from the opening cutscene. This is a proper set piece, and a great example of why I enjoy Pokémon XD's location a lot more. On top of that, it features block pushing puzzles, which I always enjoy. On the boat, we find Team Cypher again, hang out with a homeless guy who has decided to live in the wreck, attempt to grab a Bunsley, small teaser for Gen 4, and are reunited with Team Snag'em from Pokémon Colosseum. As a welcoming gift, they knock us out using Gloom's sleep powder and steal our snag machine. And this is the point from which the game takes a heavy nosedive for me. So far, Pokémon XD had found a good balance between combat and other content, keeping us busy with a variety of side tasks. But as the game winds down, it stops pretending its focus is anything else but combat, and we get non-stop battles until the conclusion. So, we get Big Man Battle, Afro Battle, Willy Battle, Team Snag'em Battle, How Is This Place Still Destroyed After 5 Years Battle, Gonzap is Back Battle. This guy is alright, by the way. We strike a deal with him. The enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal. Where were we? Oh yeah! Double Pyramid Structure Battle, Surprise Jump Battle, running around in the bad guy's Shadow Pokemon Facility Battle, Rooftop Battle, I'm secretly a Gorilla Battle, and this entire place is about to blow up battle. We take a small break from all this violence to finish construction of the Robo-Kyogre from before. That is an awesome ride. Oh, I'm sorry, you thought we were done with fights? Well, you thought wrong, because here's the Welcome to the Bad Guy's Lair battle. Repeat admin from before battle. That's not how lava works battle. You gotta fight me to get into this elevator battle. More lava battle. There's a giant bowl structure inside an active volcano battle, and I was the bad guy all along, but nobody's surprise battle. In case you are wondering, I just summarized about 10 hours of gameplay. At this point, I'm about ready for the game to end. But Greevil, the actual name of the bad guy, has concocted a devilish plan to defeat us. Glass. That's right, the only way to win is not to play. No fighting. Well, that's not going to happen. So we find a way to get to him and, that's right, more battles. And then he runs away while his goon attacks us. We win, of course, and catch up with Greevil. He reveals his plan to be evil by doing evil things and sends his best creation, the scary Pokemon known as XD001, the legendary featured on the front of the game's box art, Shadow Lugia. This encounter is underwhelming. Not only is it the first time we see Lugia since the game's introduction, but we were given the Master Ball right before entering Team Cypher's lair. So, done. The final fight against Greevil is an awesome one though. Since he's the mastermind behind Shadow Pokemon, his entire team is composed of Shadow Pokemon. But good luck snagging them, as he also owns all 3 legendary birds. At the end of a grueling battle, we defeat the final trainer of Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness' story. His two main goons are revealed to be his sons, and after a totally not earned emotional moment, the bad guy decides to stop being bad and leave this place forever. What? Whatever. Everybody seems happy in the ending cutscene. But we are not done quite yet. There are two options for the post-game in role-playing games. Either live in a post-ending world where we are free to do all the content, or send us back before the final boss. Pokémon XD decides to do both, which is weird. This means we unlock the Colosseum thanks to our exploits in the Sita Dark Isle, the final area of the game, but if we go back to said isle, we can fight Greevil once more like nothing happened. Come on, pick a lane, game. The Colosseum houses one of the most difficult Pokémon challenges ever, I am told. I did the 100 trainer challenge in Colosseum, I'm all good, thanks. The reason that brought me to playing the Pokémon GameCube games is my personal challenge of completing a Gen 3 Living Pokédex. As such, our remaining task is to purify the Shadow Pokémon left so we can send them to Pokémon Emerald. On top of that, we need to finish leveling Shroomish, as it learns Spore at level 54 and already knows False Swipe when snagged, making this dude the best capture companion in Gen 3. In fact, I spent the entire game double teaming every trainer with Sparkleys the Vaporeon, because it sparkles, and Shroomdude the Shroomish. That one is self-explanatory. All I had to do was cancel the evolution every time it leveled up, as Breloom does not learn Spore, and we are good.
I was like, I'm gonna learn it for coverage, but... No! Oh, you got... No! Ah!
We go to Cypher Lab and completely obliterate the Fire-type Power Ranger repeatedly, destroying him again and again. Like, absolutely bully him. After a short time, we are done with purifications, and Shroomdude evolves. One final rename, and we are done with Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness. I really enjoy how XD improves on the post-game. In Colosseum, the final rewards are exclusively rare Pokémon who force the player to complete every aspect of the game. To obtain Togetic, we need to snag every Shadow Pokémon. To obtain Celebi, we need to purify every Shadow Pokémon. To obtain Ho-Oh, we need to do both and beat the 100 Trainer Challenge, the toughest and most time-consuming part of Colosseum. In Pokémon XD, we can chase down every missing Shadow Pokémon with the help of Mirror B. We can find and solve every battle CD in the game. We can gear up and attempt to defeat the Colosseum. Or we can just decide we are done with the game and not miss anything. Playing the side activities is its own reward, and in my case, when I decided I was done with XD, I stopped without the feeling of missing out. This means I spent way less time playing Pokémon XD, but the time I did spend was a lot more enjoyable. So, is Pokémon XD the secret best Pokémon game? Not really. All the improvements from Colosseum cannot hide the fact this game heavily relies on combat. Sure, there are multiple distractions, but ultimately, most of what we do is battling, and battling, watching the same animations over and over and over again. If combat is your jam, you will love XD, but the core Pokémon games always strive to have a healthy balance between combat, puzzles, capture, and side content, which is missing here. Still, there are fantastic ideas in Pokémon XD, and most are executed splendidly. I have learned more about type matchups in one playthrough of XD than in years of playing the core games. It is difficult to recommend Colosseum to anyone but the most hardcore Pokémon fan, but I can easily recommend XD to any person looking for interesting locations, enjoyable gameplay, wonderful side quests, and, yes, a lot of battling. I started my Living Pokédex journey as an excuse to play as many Pokémon games as possible, and I am happy I did, because Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness is a good game. A huge thanks to everyone supporting this content, especially SCJ643, Olexon, Mini Assassin, Arcats Makes Pokemon Figures, JCB TV, and Y Lambda. Thank you for your time, and I wish you a wonderful day.